On the anniversary of a form of Brexit, which I like to call Brino, Brexit in name only, it's only fair to talk about it because everyone else is, especially the naysayers, especially the Caroline Lucas and Dominic Grieve, who would probably prefer to be totally French. We didn't get a real Brexit, but we did get out of the EU legally. And we've never exercised any of those benefits that we could have had from the get-go. Farage sees it, Rupert Lowe sees it, Lord Frost sees it, and is even giving the Tories tips on how to be Tory, how to be Conservative. Did you ever think you'd see that in your lifetime? A Conservative Lord telling the Tory party how to be Conservative to gain some traction. The Conservative Party is now trading as the Reform Party. It's as simple as that. Because unfortunately, since Brexit, let's not even go back to since they scuppered Margaret Thatcher. Let's not even go down the Maastricht Treaty years with that wet lettuce John Major. Let's just go back to Brexit, where we had basically a Prime Minister that was pro-Remain, that spent our taxes, £10 million of them, on his leafleting to keep us in the European Union. They were so blasé, they thought they were going to stay in. And all those, do you remember all those MPs, like that doctor from the South Coast, and Anna Soubry, who actually told me on the phone I'd not be able to use my house in France at the time. What you've got to look at is these people are, they're gone now, they're toast, because the people of this country getting on with their lives, taking their kids to school, going to pick Nana up, going on a picnic, going to the gym, all those people who are getting on with their lives bothered to go to the polling station and vote. And they voted to leave. This wasn't a wrong or right decision. This was a choice. This is like saying, do you like blue or do you like red? Do you like pink or green? It's your choice. You can't get it wrong. But we've been treated like we got it wrong. We've been treated like we are some lesser species that lacks the intelligence to realise that you do not need two sets of government to run 67 million people. You don't need two sets of governments to run any country, especially when the second set of government is so profoundly costly. It's cost us too much to stay in the European Union. But it's not our fault. It's not the Brexiteers' fault that the people handling Brexit completely betrayed it. They did not give us Brexit. They did not allow it to flourish. They gave us a form of Brexit to keep us happy. The fishermen aren't happy. Why are we still giving licences to foreign vessels that are worth £110,000? We've given 15 away when our fishermen have to pay for that. Ask June Mummery, she's a very good friend of mine. She knows all about how we've been scuppered with fishing. Ask the farmers what's happening to them now, and some of them will have voted to stay in the EU because the EU gave them what I call lazy farming. Oh, don't grow crops, grow wild bird food. It's a lot easier and you'll still get paid. And where's that going to get you long term? Obviously, they're not very happy. They're not very happy in the farms across Europe, are they? Europe is in decline. You're just not getting the publicity that's telling you that. You're still getting this narrative news, which is to keep the bad stuff away from you and pretend Brexit's responsible for some sort of financial decline. The IMF has had to admit that Britain's better off than Germany. They've had to admit it in their documents. Now, if we're ending up better off than Germany, and we all know Germany's got a much better work ethic than us, how come? Because we're not in the European Union. And the thing is this, that's always got me with stuff about Brexit. They bang on about Brexit, whether they think it's good or whether they think it's bad. Mostly the publicity is about it being bad. We left on New Year's Eve 2019. And by March of 2020, that's less than 3 months, we were in lockdown. That's where the economy got locked down. Only essential workers were allowed to go to work. The schools got closed. Families got crushed. The old people in the old people's homes and care homes were abandoned. And we absolutely crippled ourselves during the worst time of government spending in the last 100 years. And that's what's crippled things right across the globe. I kid you not, that is what's crippled us. And during that time when you couldn't go to a funeral, and during that time when your wedding was cancelled, and during that time Matt Hancock was groping an external employee invited to advise on the government, when you couldn't even go and see your sister, during all that period, not one channel dinghy was stopped and turned round. How can you have a set of people who give you all these instructions 6 metres apart, all the rest of it, no kissing, no cuddling, people like Holly Willoughboobies and that wet lettuce Schofield hugging through plastic sheeting on TV, and yet they let people pour in across the channel day after day after day, and they still do. And the Labour Party have just changed some legislation that actually makes it easier for them to do it. So please, on this anniversary of Brexit, do not blame Brexit for anything that's happening to this country. What's happened to this country is lunatics in Westminster have had the power base. They're incompetent. They don't read documents properly. They haven't a clue how to run a country because they're too busy wrapped up with their own careers. And we've got people now in ministerial seats who only have a 540 vote majority. They're duffers in my view anyway. But to think you've got ministers running the country, they've got the hands of power, and they've only got 500 votes away from not being there. And if you look how close the Conservatives and the Reform Party were in some of these constituencies, it really is a dire state of affairs. That this can even be called a landslide victory. How can it be a landslide when most of the country didn't vote? It's not a landslide. It's luck. You got lucky because the British remained apathetic. They couldn't trust the Tories and they'd never risk you, so they stayed at home. But you watch it next time we vote. We'll be out in force. You better expect another Brexit because all these people that have got shafted, the sacked care workers, the defrauded waspy women, I'm one of them. Don't tell me you didn't defraud me out of £42,650 because you did. You didn't give us time. You did not notify us. Your Department of Work and Pensions, you got all our postal addresses. How could you not notify us? One advert in the Lady magazine. Matron, I say, who reads that? So don't give me any of this absolute shit about Brexit being a failure. Brexit's never been given a chance. And it still isn't being given a chance because we've got a lunatic in number 10 that thinks we should be closely aligned to the biggest failure in Europe since they lost the bloody war. This is just pathetic. It's pathetic governance and we deserve better. We're highly taxed and we deserve better than what we get.